Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing some fitted rubber replacement straps for Rolex watches, and I'm also going to be reviewing a Gridlock Clasp for Rolex watches. These are available from Strapsco.com. So as you can see, I have fitted one of the fitted rubber replacement straps to my Kronos L6015 to test the fit, and I've also fitted it to a PD1661 clasp to check the compatibility, and I'm pleased to report that it does fit my Kronos watch and also fits my 1661 clasp perfectly. So the other item I'm going to be showing you is their Gridlock Clasp, and as you can see I have fitted it to my Pagani Design PD1692 Air King homage to check the compatibility between the 1692 Oyster style bracelet and this Gridlock Clasp, and again I can confirm it fits perfectly. So firstly, let's look at the packaging. The fitted rubber straps come in these resealable plastic bags, and on the reverse they have a sticker which has the respective reference number, the product code of the strap if you want to reorder it. Strapsco.com currently have a special offer. If you buy any 2 straps, they give you 1 free. So the Gridlock Clasp comes in a resealable bag, and again it has the product code on a sticker on the back if you want to reorder it. Same applies if you buy any 2, they give you 1 free. Now with the items you also get this leaflet which has the installation, strapsco.com/guides, also has the returns and also has the contact email if you have any issues, and on the reverse it invites you to share pictures of the straps you have purchased on your watch with the Instagram tag @Strapsco, and they will select your pictures and then share them on their Instagram page. So each of the rubber straps come with 2 20mm stainless steel spring bars, and they also come with a third spring bar, a 16mm spring bar for the end of the strap that goes into the flip-lock clasp. So they're available in black, brown, blue, green, red and white respectively, and I've selected the blue, black and green versions because they're my personal favourites. So these fitted rubber straps are available in straight end versions, and they're also available in curved end versions like an integrated strap to specifically fit Rolex watches. They're available in 20 and 21mm versions, and they will fit all Rolex Submariner and Submariner Dates versions and also GMT Master 2 versions. So 20 and 21 are contemporary sizes. These straps are made from rubber rather than being made from silicone rubber, so they are stiffer. They feel more like FKM rubber or alternatively vulcanized rubber as per Rubber B straps, and I prefer that because they have a stiffer feel. Now they are stiffer, but they're going to be more durable, and as you can see they are reinforced around the spring bar end, so they're not going to split and crack, which is often an area on silicone rubber straps. They are prone to splitting around the spring bar because the silicone rubber is very soft and supple, but it's also not as tough. But this rubber, which is like FKM rubber, is more durable, so although it does feel stiffer, it's going to last for a longer length of time. So I like the fact they're tapered from the spring bar end down to the clasp end. So they start at 20mm at the lugs, and then it gradually tapers in width down to 16mm. I'll show you the other side. So this is the clasp end. As you can see there's a hole in it for the screw pin, or alternatively the screw pin that goes into the clasp, and as you can see I like the fact it's recessed on the underside because that allows for some air circulation and it allows for sweat and perspiration to wick away from the wrist. And I'll show you the other side of this black one, and as you can see on both sides it has this cut out portion, and that allows for some air circulation and the sweat and perspiration to wick away from the wrist. Incredibly comfortable because it's perfectly smooth on the underside. Now as you can see there are some ridges in the strap and plenty of holes to allow for fine tuning the length to get the perfect fit. So you can either cut down these straps to length to fit your wrist perfectly using an X-Acto knife, or alternatively just a scissors, and then one can move the position of the 16mm spring bar within the body of the flip-lock clasp to get the perfect fit. So as you can see I have fitted it to my Kronos L6015. Now the thing I most like about this is, like an integrated strap, it perfectly follows the profile of the lugs. As you can see, if you look at the head of the piece, you can see the curved end, both in terms of the curved end that fits around the bezel underneath it and the curved sides. They perfectly match the profile of this Kronos L6015, head of the piece. They'll also perfectly fit a PD1661 and also a PD1662, and as I've detailed, they will also fit the Rolex Submariner and Submariner Date and the GMT Master 2. They are specifically made for the 20mm lug width, and for the current version they also make the same in a 21mm version. So I really like the curved profile. I like the fact it's thicker and then gradually tapers, and also 20mm at the lugs, gradually tapering down to 16mm. Now, as you'll know from my previous reviews, I have a large 8-inch wrist, and I like to size my bracelets and straps loose so that I can always fit an index finger underneath the bracelets and clasp. So I've actually added a 1661 oyster style link into the bracelets and clasp to give it more length, because I like to have a looser fit. Now, these are made to fit a 6 to 7.5 inch maximum wrist size. So if you have a 7.5 inch wrist, you won't need to add the additional link. I have an 8-inch wrist and I like it loose, so I have added an additional link. And as you can see, it perfectly fits the 1661 oyster style link. And the other thing I like about it is that it perfectly fits the interior of the 1661 clasp. As you can see, now I have removed the abhorrent Pagani Design 1661 micro adjustment system, because you'll all be familiar with this. It only has one slot in the micro adjustment. There are 3 dimples either side internally inside the body of the clasp, but they're very difficult to adjust. Usually they have a 5mm EasyLink style extension, and when you deploy it and flip it over, you can then see the slot in one side for the 16mm spring bar. But it's a very tight fit to get a spring bar tool inside that slot, and it would be better if they had 2 slots, one either side. So I've deleted that. I've removed the EasyLink style extension and also the spring bar that Pagani Design use, and I've just simply used the 16mm spring bar that comes with this Strapsco fitted rubber replacement strap. And what I like about it is it's a good snug fit. The strap is exactly 16mm at the spring bar end, so it doesn't slop about, it doesn't have play inside the body, and you can still use the 3 micro adjustment holes inside the body of the clasp. You can move that 16mm spring bar into those 3 positions, and it's a lot easier because you can easily fit a spring bar tool in between the edge of the rubber strap and inside the body to depress the spring bar to move it up or down. So you can use the 3 dimples inside the body. Alternatively, you can simply cut it down to length using the ridges as a guide with an X-Acto knife, or alternatively scissors. And as you can see, there are plenty of holes, so this will fit down to a 6-inch wrist with no difficulty whatsoever. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. So as you can see, it works perfectly well with the 1661 clasp, and bear in mind that I like to wear my straps and bracelets loose. I can easily slip an index finger underneath. Without the extra link added, it would still fit my 8-inch wrist, but it would be a tight fit. I just prefer to have it looser, but I just wanted to check, would the link be compatible with it if you need to extend it? And as you can see, it perfectly fits. The 1.6mm screw pin that comes in the oyster style bracelet of the 1661 perfectly fits the hole in the end of the strap. So as you can see, the navy blue strap perfectly complements my Kronos L6015. It's a nice match to the bezel colour blue and also the dial. And I really like the profile of it. Very comfortable, and it feels very smooth. So very comfortable to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. Feels significantly lighter than wearing it on an oyster style bracelet. It is noticeable. It does reduce the heft of the piece by circa 50 grams, and that's a real benefit. For example, if you're wearing the piece in warmer weather or when you're active, you'll notice that it doesn't weigh circa 150 grams as per with the bracelet. It reduces it by 50 down to circa 100 grams, so it really just feels like just wearing the head of the piece. The rubber strap feels weightless. Now, I really like the curved profile to it, and I also like the taper from 20 down to 16. They've got the proportions correct, and it's very comfortable to wear. Feel good factor is excellent, comfort level, it looks very good, and also I like the colour versions, black, brown, blue, green, red and white respectively. This blue version is my personal favourite, and as you can see, it works very well with my Kronos L6015. So no negatives to it whatsoever. You can use it with any flip-lock clasp. This 1661 clasp works very well if you have a Pagani Design PD1662. It will also work with the clasp regardless of whether it comes from a Jubilee style or Oyster style bracelet. Both of the flip lock clasps are compatible, and I really like it. So very comfortable, very good looking. Now these are unscented. Sometimes FKM and rubber straps come with a vanilla scent, as per my Bonetto Centurini strap, which I previously reviewed. And this one doesn't have any scent. The rubber doesn't have any strong odour to it, which is good. And I really like the quality of it. Feels very similar to a rubber B strap, which are made in Switzerland, and of course they're very expensive. They're like a Rolex Oyster Flex strap. So it does feel stiff, but because it tapers, it's significantly thinner at the clasp end. It means that at the clasp end, it's actually very flexible. It's only really stiffer at the spring bar end where it needs to be, because that's thicker and therefore reinforced, so it's not going to split or crack. But at the clasp end, it actually flexes very well. So it feels very similar to a Rolex Oyster Flex clasp in terms of its flexibility, but it still is stiffer than on a silicone rubber strap, for example. So I actually like the feeling of it. It feels very similar to FKM rubber, which you might be familiar with. So good looking, and I like the green version. As you can see, it's got a nice dark tone to it, perfectly smooth on the top side and the underside, as you can see, with that cutout. Very aesthetically pleasing. Very easy to cut through it with an X-Acto knife or a scissors to trim it to length as well. And this is the black version, and I like the fact it's not glossy. It's got a nice matte finish to it. Sometimes with silicone rubber straps, they're very shiny, and I like matte straps because they look like vulcanized rubber or FKM rubber. And as you can see, this has a nice matte finish to it, which is very smooth, but it's not shiny, and it looks very similar to a Rolex Oyster Flex rubber strap. So as you can see, nice cutout, perfectly smooth on it. And we've got plenty of ridges and plenty of holes. So it's good it comes with a pair of stainless steel spring bars and also the 16mm, which is the correct size for Pagani Design clasps. Right, so moving on, let's discuss the Gridlock Clasp. So this is very similar in design to a Rolex Gridlock Clasp, and Strapsco.com call it their Gridlock Clasp. And as you can see, the same proportions as the PD1692 flip-lock clasp. I'll show you the interior. As you can see, looks very similar. The only real difference between this and a Pagani Design flip-lock clasp is the centre section is mirror polished rather than being matte satin finished, but very well finished. Good mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks. And as you can see, very similar to a Rolex Gridlock clasp, because this Gridlock clasp has on-the-fly adjustment, as you can see, and I'm pleased to report it deploys very easily and it's very smooth. It moves up and down very smooth. Now, it's not as silky smooth as a Rolex Gridlock, and the reason for that is a Rolex Gridlock clasp has two Teflon pads on the sliders. And Teflon is, of course, very low friction, and the Teflon against the 904L Oyster Steel does feel silky smooth. The Teflon sliders, the Teflon pads, slide up and down inside the body of the clasp very smoothly on a Rolex Gridlock. So it's not as smooth because this is 316L grade stainless steel sliders sliding against 316L grade stainless steel. So one does get more friction, but however, it does snap and deploy very well. It's got a nice positive click when one deploys it to adjust it, and also it snaps into the body with a nice positive click. So it does feel very similar to a Rolex Gridlock clasp, although not as silky smooth. In terms of quality of finishing, the brushed satin finish has a nice luster to it. The mirror polished flanks are mirror polished to a good standard. In terms of quality overall, quality control, finishing, I think it's very similar to a PD1661 flip-lock clasp or the original 1692 clasp I've removed from this 1692 Air King homage. No sharp edges, no burrs, the corners don't have sharp points. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Nice positive click, nice positive second click to the flip lock itself. So in terms of profile, it feels very similar to the 1692 flip-lock clasp. The dimensions are similar to a PD1661 or 1662 flip-lock clasp. Relatively low profile. Does feel very well balanced, and it's nice to have on-the-fly adjustments on the standard Pagani design PD1692 oyster style bracelet. Now it's sterile and unsigned, and I like that because it means that it's versatile. You can fit it to any brand of watch rather than branding it with Strapsco. They've made the correct decision by not engraving it with Strapsco. I think it's better sterile. It does look and feel and also perform very similar to my Kronos L6015 Gridlock style clasp, and I think the quality is also very similar because, as you can see, beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel. The satin finishing matches the satin finishing to the oyster style bracelet. So easy to adjust, no sharp edges, no burrs, doesn't pull arm hairs, and I'm pleased to report it does fit this 1692 oyster style bracelet very well. So therefore it will also fit a 1661 and 1662 oyster style bracelet, and needless to say, if you have a 20mm to 16mm oyster style bracelet, for example the L6015 bracelet is compatible, and also if you have San Martin watches such as the SN017G or the 019G, they will also fit. Any oyster style bracelet tapering from 20 down to 16 will fit because it's made specifically to fit oyster style bracelets. So 16mm is the key size you need to look at. If your bracelet tapers down to 16, it will fit, and it's very easy to fit because you have a 1.6mm screw pin at the Gridlock Clasp end, and at the other end underneath the flip lock there is a second 1.6mm screw. So you simply recycle the screws from your bracelet. When you remove the clasp from your bracelet, you save the screws and then you use those. Now this does also come with two screws, one for either end of the clasp, and as you can see, plenty of adjustment. You've got 15mm of adjustment. One can significantly shorten the length of the bracelet by 3 links, and it's nice to have that 15mm of on-the-fly adjustment. It's quite a lot. Far more than the 5mm of EasyLink style extension one gets with a Pagani design clasp. So no negatives to it whatsoever. The only thing I will say is it's not as silky smooth as a Rolex Gridlock clasp, but however, one has to factor in the cost. This is $45 for the Gridlock clasp. Now it's 16mm only, so that's the only size they make. It's available in several versions. One can have the brushed silver version you're looking at here. They also make it in black, rose gold, yellow gold, silver and rose gold, and silver and yellow gold. So a plethora of options. So regardless of what style of bracelet you've got, whether it's rose gold and silver or yellow gold and silver, they will have a Gridlock style clasp to fit, and they also do the black PVD coated version and also the brushed silver version you're looking at here. So they start at $45. Now lastly, I will summarize the straps and also the clasp. I think that this is excellent quality and excellent value. Yes, at $30 it is an expensive rubber strap, and significantly more expensive than silicone rubber straps that are available on Amazon, eBay and AliExpress. But the rubber, which feels like vulcanized rubber or FKM rubber, is definitely higher quality than the silicone rubber one gets on AliExpress, which is less expensive. So this is going to last for a lifetime. It's not going to split and crack around the spring bar, and although it feels stiffer, it is going to be more durable, and the overall quality is higher grade than the AliExpress style silicone rubber straps. I also like the versatility of it because it's specifically made to fit flip lock clasps, and as you can see it fits this 1661 clasp very well, and it comes with the 16mm spring bar needed to fit it. No negatives to it whatsoever, very comfortable to wear, and also like the fact there's plenty of colour options, black, brown, blue, green, red and white respectively. So I'm going to highly recommend the fitted rubber replacement strap to you at $30, or with the strap and also the clasp it's $60. Now onto the Gridlock clasp. I'm also going to recommend this. Now it is expensive at $45. Of course we're all familiar with the Kali Wet clasps, which are available on AliExpress. I have previously reviewed one and tested it, and I can tell you that the quality of the Kali Wet clasps on AliExpress are poor quality. They're not as well finished in terms of the brushed satin finishing, the mirror polishing, the deburring, the chamfering, and also the corners have sharp points. So the Carlywet clasps are less expensive, but they're not as good, and also the glide lock mechanism doesn't perform as well. It's not as well finished internally, and also it doesn't deploy, slide and click back in as well. So yes, it's expensive at $45 US, but currently I think this is the best quality glide lock style clasp. They call it the Gridlock Clasp. I think this is the best option if you're looking for on-the-fly adjustments and you're not satisfied with the 5mm EasyLink style extension that comes in Pagani design clasps, for example. I think this is the best that money can buy. So it's a case of one gets what one pays for, and I like it because when added to my 1692, as you can see, I've now got 15mm of on-the-fly adjustment versus the 5mm of on-the-fly adjustment from the EasyLink style extension. So it is superior, and it does retain the aesthetics of the original flip lock clasp that comes on the 1692. Very similar proportions, 16mm. It doesn't feel too bulky and it doesn't stick out too much on the wrist. So very comfortable to wear, and it works very well, and it's also finished to a good standard. So I'm going to highly recommend the Gridlock clasp to you for your consideration. So I hope you've liked my review of the fitted rubber replacement strap for Rolex watches and also the Gridlock clasp, both available from strapsco.com. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.